ladies and gentlemen, cricket lovers and believers in the spirit of the game. Today we find ourselves in the middle of a storm, not over runs, wickets or records, but over silence, a silence coming from a place where noise was once deafening, the Indian media. The biggest cricket rivalry on earth, India versus Pakistan, is taking place, and yet the loudest stage seems to have dimmed its lights. Why? Why is Indian media boycotting this match? The answer lies not in a single headline or a shallow controversy, but in something deeper, something woven into politics, pride and perception. Let us walk together through three key truths that explain this unusual silence. For decades, when India and Pakistan faced each other on the cricket field, it was never just a game. It was theatre, it was war without weapons, it was pride wrapped in coloured jerseys. Every ball carried the weight of history, every six felt like a punch of dominance, and every wicket stirred emotions that no statistic could ever measure. The world tuned in not simply because of the cricketing skills on display, but because the rivalry itself was larger than life. It was fire meeting fire. Yet, as the years have passed, something fundamental has changed. The match has become less about artistry with bat and ball and more about the politics, propaganda, and off-field noise that surround it. The Indian media, once at the centre of magnifying this spectacle, has started to question whether its own role has drifted away from celebrating cricket and slipped into fueling narratives that serve interests outside the boundary lines. Each broadcast, each panel discussion, each overhyped preview became less about the cover drive or the Yorker and more about whipping up sentiment that often strayed far from the spirit of sport. Slowly, the match that once united fans in their passion for the game turned into a platform for posturing, a playground for agendas. And so, the boycott is not simply a withdrawal from coverage, it is a declaration. It is the media saying, we will no longer be instruments in a play where cricket is the excuse, but politics is the real script. For some, this silence feels like betrayal, but for others, it is a refusal to glorify a contest that has drifted away from its true purpose. By stepping back, they are shining a light on the uncomfortable truth that the rivalry has become bigger than cricket, and perhaps too big for its own good. In today's world, attention is everything. It is more powerful than money, more valuable than resources, and more decisive than any political statement. Whoever controls attention controls the narrative, and whoever controls the narrative controls influence. The Indian media has long understood this truth. For decades, their coverage of the India versus Pakistan match has amplified its reach, transforming it from a cricket game into a global event. Every frame of a batsman walking to the crease, every slow motion replay of a wicket falling, every heated panel debate off the field gave the rivalry not just visibility, but legitimacy. But when visibility starts feeding something that no longer reflects the beauty of cricket, silence becomes the sharpest weapon. By boycotting the match, Indian media is doing more than refusing to air highlights. They're cutting off oxygen to a machine that thrives on coverage. Without the camera, without the headlines, without the endless noise of analysis and commentary, the rivalry loses some of its thunder. The roar of the crowd may still echo inside the stadium, but outside, the silence of the media creates a vacuum, and that vacuum speaks volumes. It tells the world that attention will not be handed out freely, that legitimacy will not be given to a spectacle that has become more about agendas than about the artistry of cricket. This silence is not accidental, it is strategic. It is a calculated decision to deny power to those who feed on the spotlight. For years, the India-Pakistan match has been used as a vehicle to stir emotions, sometimes to distract, sometimes to provoke, sometimes to manipulate. By refusing to play along, the Indian media is reclaiming control over the one thing that truly matters in this age. Where people look, what people hear, and what story people choose to believe. In that choice, silence has become louder than any headline. At the heart of it all, cricket was never meant to be dragged into the mud of politics and propaganda. It was built on respect, on competition, on the idea that two teams could battle fiercely for victory, yet walk away shaking hands in honour of the spirit of the game. That spirit has always been the most sacred part of cricket. The unspoken agreement that beyond the boundaries and national colours, the game itself stands tall, untouched by bitterness. But in recent times, the rivalry between India and Pakistan has drifted far away from this essence. Instead of celebrating centuries and brilliant spells, the conversation is often hijacked by narratives that have nothing to do with the bat, the ball, or or the field. For the Indian media, this has become a matter of conscience. They know the weight of their voice. They know that every second of coverage, every word, every panel discussion has the power to shape public perception. If the game itself is being reduced into a tool for agendas, then choosing silence becomes an act of protection, not just for the audience, but for the game itself. By boycotting, they are drawing a line that says, we will not let cricket be degraded into theatre for division. It is not about rejecting the sport, but about defending it. Yes, many fans are disappointed. They argue that cricket belongs to the people and should remain above politics. And in a sense, they are right. But when the sanctity of cricket is constantly under threat, someone must take a stand to remind us what the game truly means. Sometimes protecting something doesn't mean celebrating it louder. Sometimes it means stepping back until it can shine again in its purest form. That is what this silence represents. A fight to safeguard the soul of cricket, a reminder that the game must not lose its heart to the noise around it. So why is Indian media boycotting the Pakistan vs India match? Because the match is no longer just a game. Because attention is power and they choose not to give it. Because cricket must remain pure, and sometimes the only way to protect its soul is to step back from the noise. And maybe, just maybe, this silence will remind us all that cricket was never meant to divide. It was meant to inspire, to unite, and to bring out the best in us. The bat will still strike the ball. The crowd will still roar. But the absence of media noise will echo with a truth larger than any scoreboard.